Before the wand chose the wizard, a casting director chose the children. 3 unknown kids from open auditions, a school of British legends hired to stand behind them, and a world of readers holding their breath, hoping the magic would survive the journey from page to screen. It did. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone became the highest-grossing film of 2001, launching a decade-long franchise that changed cinema forever. But the people who brought Hogwarts to life have walked very different roads since. 25 years later, this is Harry Potter, then and now. Harry Potter didn't arrive on screen with fanfare. He arrived under the stairs. Played by Daniel Radcliffe, born on the 23rd of July 1989, in Fulham, London, England. Harry was just 11 years old when the film reached theaters in November 2001. He worked because Radcliffe brought something no amount of audition coaching could manufacture: a quiet, watchful sadness beneath the wonder. Harry has spent his whole life being told he doesn't matter. When he discovers the opposite is true, Radcliffe played that revelation, not with triumph, but with a kind of careful disbelief, as if joy itself was something he didn't fully trust yet. Before the role, Radcliffe had made a small impression in the BBC's David Copperfield and a brief appearance in The Tailor of Panama, but he was, in every meaningful sense, unknown. After Harry Potter concluded with the 8th film in 2011, Radcliffe spent the following years doing everything he could to prove that The Boy Under the Stairs was only the beginning. Equus, on the West End and Broadway, Kill Your Darlings, Swiss Army Man, The Woman in Black, Weird, The Al Yankovic Story. And in 2024, a Tony Award for Best Featured Actor in a Musical for Merrily We Roll Along on Broadway. Proof that the boy who walked into Hogwarts had grown into one of the most daring performers of his generation. He became a father in April 2023. In 2026, he turns 37. Harry Potter remains iconic because Radcliffe made belonging feel like the rarest and most powerful magic of all. Hermione Granger raised her hand before the teacher finished the question. She knew the answer. She always did. Played by Emma Watson, born on the 15th of April, 1990, in Paris, France, and raised in Oxford, England. Hermione was 10 years old when filming began in 2011, when the film was released in 2001. She worked because Watson played intelligence without arrogance, a girl who needed to be right because the world hadn't yet given her another way to feel safe. In a story full of wonder, Hermione was the one who read the footnotes. Watson had never acted professionally before this role. She came to the audition through her Oxford Theatre School and auditioned 8 times before earning the part. J.K. Rowling herself supported her casting after the very first screen test. After the franchise concluded, Watson pursued everything Hermione would have approved of: a degree in English literature from Brown University, a UN Women Goodwill Ambassador appointment, the He for She campaign for gender equality, and roles in The Perks of Being a Wallflower, Beauty and the Beast, and Little Women. Since 2019, she has largely stepped away from the spotlight, choosing activism, education, and a quieter life over the constant glare of celebrity. In 2026, she turns 36. Hermione remains unforgettable because Watson made knowing things feel like a form of courage rather than a performance. Ron Weasley showed up to Hogwarts on a second-hand wand with peanut butter on his nose and immediately became someone worth rooting for. Played by Rupert Grint, born on the 24th of August, 1988, in Harlow, Essex, England. Ron was 12 when the film arrived in November 2001. He worked because Grint gave Ron something the books always hinted at, but rarely made visible: a quiet anxiety beneath the comic timing. Ron is always afraid of being the least important person in the room. Grint played that fear honestly, which made every moment of Ron's courage feel genuinely earned. Before the role, Grint had only appeared in school plays. He got the audition by sending in a homemade video of himself rapping about wanting the part, a piece of Hogwarts legend in its own right. After the franchise ended, Grint built a second career on his own terms. Snatch, Sick Note, The ABC Murders, and 4 acclaimed seasons of Apple TV Plus psychological thriller Servant alongside M. Night Shyamalan. He welcomed his first daughter in 2020 and his second in 2025. And in 2026, he starred in a new Berlin Film Festival premiere, Nightborn. In 2026, he turns 38. Ron remains beloved because Grint made loyalty feel like the bravest choice a person without superpowers could make. Albus Dumbledore looked at Harry Potter across a great hall full of candles and already knew how the story would end. Played by Richard Harris, born on the 1st of October, 1930 in Limerick, Ireland. Dumbledore was 70 years old when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone reached theaters in 2001. He worked because Harris brought the specific weight of a man who had already seen too much a headmaster, who smiled with his eyes while keeping the deepest truths carefully out of reach. His Dumbledore was gentle in a way that cost something. Harris had initially declined the role. It was his granddaughter who told him that if he did not go back and take the part, she would never speak to him again. He accepted. Before Harry Potter, Harris had lived one of the most extraordinary careers in cinema. 2 Academy Award nominations, a Cannes Best Actor Award, Camelot, Unforgiven, Gladiator, as Marcus Aurelius. He had also battled addiction for decades, found sobriety, and returned to form with extraordinary late-career work. He appeared in the first 2 Harry Potter films. He passed away on the 25th of October, 2002, at the age of 72, from Hodgkin's disease, just weeks before the American premiere of Chamber of Secrets. Albus Dumbledore remains a presence felt across the entire franchise because Harris made wisdom feel ancient, tender, and quietly heartbreaking. Severus Snape entered the Great Hall like a verdict. Played by Alan Rickman, born on the 21st of February, 1946, in Hammersmith, London, England. Snape was 55 when the film was released in 2001. He worked because Rickman was one of the very few actors alive who could say nothing and fill a room with meaning. Every pause was deliberate. Every syllable was measured. Snape's contempt for Harry felt personal from the very first lesson, and Rickman knew exactly why, because J.K. Rowling had told him Snape's full story before a single frame was shot. A secret he kept for a decade, while the rest of the world debated whether to trust the man in the black robes. Before Harry Potter, Rickman had already built a legendary career. Hans Gruber in Die Hard, Colonel Brandon in Sense and Sensibility, the Sheriff of Nottingham in Robin Hood, Prince of Thieves, and a celebrated stage career on both sides of the Atlantic. He carried Snape through all 8 films, delivering one of the most quietly devastating character arcs in franchise history. He passed away on the 14th of January, 2016, at the age of 69, from pancreatic cancer, a diagnosis he had kept private until the end. Severus Snape remains cinema's most complex portrait of love in disguise, because Rickman made every cruel word feel like a secret he was desperate not to tell. Professor McGonagall stood at the door of Hogwarts like someone who had held the world together by sheer force of principle for longer than anyone could remember. Played by Maggie Smith, born on the 28th of December, 1934, in Ilford, Essex, England. McGonagall was 66 when the film was released in 2001. She worked because Smith gave the character something beyond strictness, a bone-deep investment in her students that she would sooner die than admit to out loud. McGonagall's approval meant something precisely because she withheld it so carefully. Smith was already one of the most decorated actresses in the English-speaking world before Hogwarts' 2 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTA wins, and decades of theatrical mastery. After Harry Potter, she continued working without pause. Violet Crawley in Downton Abbey became one of television's most beloved characters, earning her Emmy nominations well into her 80s. She passed away on the 27th of September, 2024, at the age of 89. Professor McGonagall remains one of cinema's great portraits of stern and ferocious love, because Smith made discipline feel like the highest form of devotion. Hagrid arrived on a flying motorcycle out of a thunderstorm and handed an 11-year-old boy a birthday cake and the truth about his entire life, all in the same breath. Played by Robbie Coltrane, born on the 30th of March 1950, in Rutherglen, South Lanarkshire, Scotland. Hagrid was 51 when the film reached theaters in 2001. He worked because Coltrane made a half-giant feel completely, disarmingly human. Hagrid loves without condition and grieves without hiding it. And Coltrane played both with a warmth that became the emotional heart of the entire franchise's early chapters. Before Harry Potter, Coltrane was a beloved figure in British television and film, best known as the criminal psychologist Fitz in the acclaimed series Cracker, which earned him 3 BAFTA Best Actor awards. He brought Hagrid to life across all 8 films and remained close to the series and its fans for the rest of his life. He passed away on the 14th of October, 2022, at the age of 72. Hagrid remains one of film's most beloved gentle giants because Coltrane made unconditional love feel like the most magical thing in the wizarding world. Draco Malfoy walked into Hogwarts already certain he belonged at the top of it. Played by Tom Felton, born on the 22nd of September, 1987, in Epsom, Surrey, England. Draco was 13 when the film arrived in 2001. He worked because Felton gave the character a particular kind of insecurity, disguised as contempt, a boy performing the arrogance his family required of him, not quite certain he believed it himself. Before Harry Potter, Felton had appeared in The Borrowers and Anna and the King, giving him more professional experience than almost any of his young Hogwarts classmates. After the franchise concluded, Felton built a varied career across film and television, published a beloved memoir, Beyond the Wand, which debuted at #1 on the New York Times bestseller list in 2022 and became one of the franchise's most warmly regarded figures among fans. In 2026, he turns 39. Draco remains compelling because Felton made the cruelty of a frightened child feel tragic long before the audience was supposed to understand why. Vernon Dursley believed that the correct response to anything unusual was to pretend it did not exist and punish anyone who disagreed. Played by Richard Griffiths, born on the 31st of July 1947, in Thornaby-on-Tees, England. Vernon was 54 when the film was released in 2001. He worked because Griffiths found the comedy in Vernon's absolute certainty and the ugliness just underneath it. A man who controlled his household the way frightened people always do, by refusing to acknowledge anything he couldn't explain. Before Harry Potter, Griffiths was a respected character actor with decades of stage and screen work, including the original Broadway production of The History Boys. After it, he continued in film and theater until his death. He passed away on the 28th of March, 2013, at the age of 65, from complications following heart surgery. Vernon Dursley remains a memorable portrait of petty cruelty because Griffiths made small-minded fear feel almost, but never quite pitiable. Professor Quirrell stood at the front of the defense against the dark arts classroom, looking nervous about everything which was, it turned out, the most dangerous possible disguise. Played by Ian Hart, born on the 8th of October, 1964, in Liverpool, England. Quirrell was 36 when the film was released in 2001. He worked because Hart played the character's anxiety so genuinely that the audience never looked past it until the film wanted them to. In a cast full of larger-than-life presences, Quirrell's smallness was the most precise piece of misdirection in the story. Before and after Harry Potter, Hart built a long career across distinguished British film and television, including roles in Backbeat, Land and Freedom, and numerous television dramas. In 2026, he turns 62. Professor Quirrell remains a masterclass in concealment because Hart made timidity feel so real that menace had nowhere more convincing to hide. Aunt Petunia ran her household like someone trying to erase a truth she had never fully managed to forget. Played by Fiona Shaw, born on the 10th of July, 1958, in Rosscarbery, County Cork, Ireland. Petunia was 43 when the film was released in 2001. She worked because Shaw gave Petunia a particular brittle energy, not simply mean, but stricken, a woman who had spent decades trying to be ordinary and could never quite manage it. Before Harry Potter, Shaw had established herself as one of the most formidable stage actresses of her generation, acclaimed at the Royal Shakespeare Company and the National Theatre. After the franchise, she continued a rich career, including the television series Killing Eve and True Blood. In 2026, she turns 68. Petunia Dursley remains a quietly unsettling character because Shaw made denial feel like the most exhausting magic trick a person could perform. Mrs. Weasley appeared for only a few minutes on platform 9 3/4, but in that brief time, she saw a boy who had no one, and she simply included him. Played by Julie Walters, born on the 22nd of February 1950 in Smethwick, Birmingham, England. Molly Weasley was 51 when the film arrived in 2001. She worked because Walters brought genuine maternal warmth to a character who could easily have remained. To background, the scene where she points Harry toward the platform is only a few lines long, but the way she delivers them makes the audience understand exactly what kind of home Harry is about to find. Before Harry Potter, Walters was already one of Britain's most beloved performers, Oscar-nominated for Educating Rita, and celebrated across decades of film and television. After it, she continued a remarkable career, including Mamma Mia and the later Harry Potter films, as Molly's full ferocity came to the front. In 2026, she turns 76. Mrs. Weasley remains one of film's great portraits of maternal love because Walters made a brief kindness to a stranger feel like the beginning of a family. Neville Longbottom walked into Hogwarts carrying a toad nobody wanted, wearing a jumper his grandmother had packed, and tripping over his own feet before he reached the first staircase. Played by Matthew Lewis, born on the 27th of June 1989 in Leeds, West Yorkshire, England. Neville was 12 when the film arrived in November 2001. He worked because Lewis played the character's awkwardness without irony. There was nothing performed about Neville's uncertainty, only a boy genuinely trying and genuinely failing and getting up anyway. For the role, Lewis wore false teeth, a fat suit, shoes 2 sizes too big, and plastic pieces behind his ears to make them protrude. The discomfort was entirely real. He was under contract not to fix his naturally crooked teeth until all 8 films were complete. Before Harry Potter, Lewis had appeared in small British television productions. After the franchise concluded, he built a steady career in British drama, including Me Before You, The Syndicate, and All Creatures Great and Small, while also co-hosting a Leeds United football podcast and working with charitable foundations. He married in 2018 in Italy. In 2026, he turns 37. Neville Longbottom remains one of the franchise's most beloved journeys because Lewis made growing into yourself feel like the quietest and most hard-won kind of magic. Mr. Ollivander ran his wand shop as though he had been expecting every customer long before they arrived. Played by John Hurt, born on the 22nd of January, 1940, in Shirebrook, Derbyshire, England. Ollivander was 61 when Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone was released in 2001. He worked because Hurt gave the scene something unexpected, not warmth, but wonder. A man so absorbed by the mystery of wands and wizards that he had long since forgotten how to be ordinary. His few minutes on screen left an impression larger than their running time, which is perhaps why the role returned in the Deathly Hallows films. Before Harry Potter, Hurt had built one of British cinema's great careers, Oscar-nominated for Midnight Express and The Elephant Man, iconic as Winston Smith in 1984, and beloved as the War Doctor in Doctor Who. He passed away on the 25th of January, 2017, at the age of 77 from pancreatic cancer. Mr. Ollivander remains unforgettable because Hurt made the act of choosing a wand feel like a meeting with fate that had already been decided. Nearly headless Nick floated through the corridors of Hogwarts with the particular dignity of someone who had been dead for centuries and had developed very strong opinions about it. Played by John Cleese, born on the 27th of October, 1939, in Weston-super-Mare, Somerset, England. Nick was 61 when the film arrived in November 2001. He worked because Cleese found the precise comic register for a ghost who is simultaneously absurd and sincere. A man who died badly, failed to die completely, and has spent 500 years being politely embarrassed about both. Before Harry Potter, Cleese was one of the most celebrated comedic minds in British history, a founding member of Monty Python, the creator and star of Fawlty Towers, and a screen presence whose timing had influenced generations of performers. After it, he continued writing, performing, and speaking publicly on subjects ranging from comedy to creativity. In 2026, he turns 87. Nearly headless Nick remains a delightful character because Cleese made the indignity of an incomplete death feel like the setup for a very long joke with no real punchline. Argus Filch patrolled the corridors of Hogwarts like a man who had been personally insulted by joy and had decided to do something about it. Played by David Bradley, born on the 17th of April, 1942, in York, North Yorkshire, England. Filch was 59 when the film was released in 2001. He worked because Bradley gave the caretaker real menace beneath the shuffling misery. This was not a harmless curmudgeon, but a man with genuine grievance. Someone the wizarding world had failed and who had never found a way to forgive it for that. Before and after Harry Potter, Bradley built one of British television and film's most distinguished supporting careers, appearing in Game of Thrones as Walder Frey, in the Doctor Who universe, and in dozens of acclaimed stage and screen productions. In 2026, he turns 84. Argus Filch remains memorable because Bradley made institutional bitterness feel like a portrait of someone the world created and then refused to see. Madam Hooch stood on the Quidditch pitch with the authority of someone who had spent a lifetime deciding exactly how much nonsense she was willing to tolerate, and had set that number at very close to zero. Played by Zoe Wanamaker, born on the 13th of May, 1949, in New York City, New York, and raised in England, Madam Hooch was 52 when the film arrived in 2001. She worked because Wanamaker gave the flying instructor a precise, no-frills competence that made the Quidditch world feel like a real institution with real rules rather than a whimsical backdrop. In a film full of wonder, Hooch represented the fact that magic had its own disciplines, its own protocols, and its own professionals who had seen too many first years fall off brooms to be impressed by anything. Before and after Harry Potter, Wanamaker built a celebrated career across British stage and television, including long-running television work and acclaimed theatrical productions at the National Theatre and the Royal Shakespeare Company. In 2026, she turns 77. Madam Hooch remains a crisp, commanding presence because Wanamaker made competence feel like its own quiet form of magic. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone began as an act of faith. Faith that children could carry a franchise, that British legends would lend their brilliance to something new, and that a world built from words could survive translation into light and sound. 25 years later, some of those who built it are gone. Others have gone on to extraordinary second chapters. And 3 children who walked through a castle door together have grown into actors who refuse to be defined by the door they came through. Which Harry Potter cast story moved you most? Comment below, like and subscribe, and join us again on Hollywood 1960s.